My name's Paria Taizadeh and I'm a Selwyn Spate Scholarship recipient, as if that's not a mouthful. And I am currently working at Mamamia as a podcast producer. Previous to that, as a part of the scholarship, I was given a 1-year full-time working contract with the ABC. So I worked in different departments within the ABC. So I worked at Triple J, Radio National, and I gained a lot of experience there in terms of radio and producing. While I was at Radio National, I did a feature, shameless plug here, called Escape from Iran. And that was just about my mum and I and how we ended up coming to Australia as refugees. I ended up entering my radio feature into the New York Festival Radio Awards. And then I ended up winning gold for history in terms of the category and silver for social issues. And that is me in a nutshell. I found out about AFTRS years and years ago at I think it was like a work expo, or the job expos. Nothing happened until I ended up getting a job at one particular radio station, and the girl that I was replacing, she actually went to AFTRS. And so I was like, oh yeah, I remember this AFTRS business. So I did the research online first, and then, Google reviews can sometimes be really helpful. Then I came to an open day, and there was a fair few people here. Asked them about the roles that they have. They mentioned that there was a diversity scholarship, and I was like, I'll never get that, it doesn't matter. But then my partner, my husband now, but he was my partner at the time, had said, just go for it, apply for it. And again, I was really reluctant to. And he's like, what do you got to lose? You're just gonna apply, and if they say no, that's it. You're in the same position you started at. Fair enough. And yeah, that's it. So I went to the open day, I applied, and then eventually when I got in, I was, very happy. For me to win the scholarship, it was just like, oh, this is really good. I won a scholarship, and that's really nice of them. And I didn't really understand the gravity of it all. I didn't know what was ahead of me and what opportunities it was able to give me. I was just like, oh, I've got some money and I've got a job to go to for a year, and that's really good. I left a paying job to study full time. I had a mortgage, I had responsibilities, I had a lot of things that I had to worry about. And it was the scholarship that enabled me to kind of just not worry, not be as stressed with the money, take the pressure off, to be able to have an income once I finished studying and not let it go to waste. And that was my main thing. It was like, once I finish this course, what happens then? Is it a waste of time? Am I going to push through? It can feel scary going into a whole new industry that you've never been into, especially when you've given up so much. And the fear of rejection is kind of what also stops you from moving forward, right? And to be able to have a scholarship, to have a job, to then move on, gain that experience and go to another job was probably the easiest and most calming point of that whole story. Personally for me, I don't know about anyone else, when I wanted to get into radio, I wanted to get into the on-air side of things. And I thought, of course, I want to be famous. I'm really embarrassed to say that. But yes, that's what I wanted to be. And as it went on, I kind of realised that there was other aspects to it as well. It's not just on air, and being on air is actually quite difficult and quite draining. Then I kind of just wanted to know exactly what was in the industry, and I realised that there just wasn't one thing. I know that sounds stupid, but when you have one kind of area in mind, that's all you really know and that's all you focus on, until I came to AFTRS and realised there was other bits and pieces that I'm actually quite capable of and is quite fun. Like editing for me is, sometimes it's tedious, but actually the end result is quite enjoyable. Being able to work with so many experienced lecturers was probably the most relaxing and stress-free thing, because you know that it's not just one person that's just not been there to experience exactly what's going on, and it's not just the theory side of it, but it's the practical side of it. So I was able to be like, okay, I can trust this person in giving me this X, Y, and Z advice. Even the guest lecturers that would come in, because they did have the experience within the field. And then that way you're able to network. So even right at the moment, I'm still speaking to some of the lecturers, still getting their opinions if I need them. And it's such a small industry that there's no way that you can not come across them again, or even the guest lecturers. So it was quite a positive experience in terms of being educated by those particular lecturers. Yeah. The top 3 things that I learnt at AFTRS, which I have kind of transferred into my everyday life and my job, firstly, it's the producing. Before Mamamia, before I started producing podcasts, I was working for the ABC. And so I was doing a lot of radio producing there, and it's very quick and very you don't have time to think, you just need to do. And without the experience of having to do all those different roles, specifically producing roles, I think that I would just be like, I quit, I can't do this job anymore, because you do really need to learn what kind of content you need to look at, the target audience, how to even talk to guests, how to even deal with your hosts. Those kind of little things at AFTRS really prepped me for being able to do it in the real world. That's one. My second one is editing. Learning it at AFTRS was probably the best thing that I could have ever done, because that's what helped me get my current role as a podcast producer. And then the third thing would be the looking for the content. So every morning before we would actually start the class, we would have to all have a content idea, and we would present that and kind of debrief with the lecturers and rip that apart and talk about why and how. And it was actually quite fun in some instances. And so that really prepped me for being able to look for content, because being in media, you have to look for stories, you have to tell stories. And so you got to tell the right ones for the right market and the right target audience. So that was really helpful too. Where do I start with the opportunities that the course created for me? God, the fact that I got a scholarship was one opportunity right from the get-go. The fact that I'm actually in AFTRS, because everybody in industry knows AFTRS. You're probably like, oh, you're doing the promo video. Of course you have to talk about AFTRS, but genuinely, everybody knows AFTRS. There is not one person that I've met within media, whether it's in radio or podcasting or media in general, that doesn't know what AFTRS is or what it can do. And everyone that comes from AFTRS is very highly regarded too. The whole myriad of different experiences that I've been able to get from the course to get to where I am. For me, it was probably the best thing was to be able to do a feature of my own background and my family and being able to tell our story. And I think that if I wasn't enrolled in the course and I didn't have the experience, I don't think the people that enabled me to do the feature and commissioned it would have entrusted me with that, because I didn't have the work experience, the field experience. So the next best thing was AFTRS, and because it's so highly regarded, I think that's kind of what gave other people the faith to kind of let me do it. I would say that I don't have one particular role model. It's more everyone that I've come across has taught me one thing, whether it's, you can work in industry even though you have a child, or even though you're pregnant, or even though you're a woman. I know those are simple little things, but it's actually quite prevalent, especially in Australian media, to be able to have those previous examples or those previous people come and open the door of opportunity, because we weren't given them before, whether it's because I'm from a different country or whether it's because I'm a woman or because of my age. A lot of the people that I've interacted with have given me kind of some inspiration, whether I realise it or not. My feature, Escape from Iran, that I did for ABC was, it started as a side hobby at AFTRS, and I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, this is just going to be for me at home and my mum to tell my future children and their children's children, and look what mummy's mum did, And again, I wanted to upskill as well in terms of editing and storytelling, so that was the technical side of things. And as I went on, I interviewed my mum. She told me, obviously, the story, and it was quite deep and meaningful, so it made me want to finish it. So one of the lecturers that I had told about my feature was also at ABC this one particular day, and she had mentioned to the feature's producers, yeah, Pari's got this idea. So anyway, I wrote a proposal, I pitched the idea, and it got commissioned. And it took a very long time to do, because I was kind of learning how to do a feature. I'd never done a full-blown feature before. But also I was doing the research and doing like the technical side of things. That took a little bit of time. And then of course you need to decide what parts of the story that you want to put in. And so Ros Blewett, who was my producer there at ABC, also co-produced the feature with me. She really guided me as well, and that was quite helpful. Like I had moments where I was like, this is too hard, I don't want to do this anymore. And then there were moments where I was like, this is really good. Like I want to show my mum that I'm proud of her story, because she sacrificed so much for me to be even like sitting here with you guys now. So I wanted to be able to share that story and kind of tell her that I appreciate her. I think with a lot of things that are going on at the moment, we need to diversify, and it kind of makes me sad that in 2020 we're having this discussion. Even though it needs to be had, progress to diversify within, I think, specifically Australian media has been very slow. So the fact that I can actually be a part of that, even if it's in like the most minute way, still allows the next person to come along and do the same thing. I think that that's really important, because if we don't have that, it's just going to be stagnant. And it's little bits and pieces, and I'm actually quite happy with the fact that AFTRS and ABC specifically had a scholarship that was a diversity scholarship. So if there's anyone that was hesitant applying for the radio course at AFTRS, I would just say, do it. And I know that that sounds so simple, and I know it's not simple, but trying to work your way up in the radio industry, in such a small, tight-knit industry that has clicks, unfortunately, it's true. You need to be able to be educated, and you need to be able to have networking skills, and you need to be able to have technical skills to even be considered in a role. And this is exactly what AFTRS provides you. I tried to do it the hard way, and I was willing to do it, but it was very difficult. I was working at it for 3 years, and then when I did it with AFTRS, it saved me probably another 3 years of time. So do it, don't hesitate, work your way around it. If you have to put something on hold to be able to study, do it, because you're just wasting your time if you do it any other way. Harsh but true.